Jacques Tati is absolutely fascinating. Who knew comedy could be so mysterious? Today's video is about Jour de fête, and it's Jacques Tati's first feature-length film from 1949, and it's delightful. It's a delightful film. Now, what I mean about comedy being so mysterious is that I probably first watched this film 3 weeks ago, something like that. I think I've watched it 3 times since. Because the first time I watched it, I didn't love it. I felt as if I made a mistake. Like, oh, Zach, you shouldn't have started with playtime. Everything else will just feel like a warm up or a calm down from that sort of peak because playtime is genuinely the funniest and one of the most brilliant films ever designed. So you shouldn't have started with that. You should have worked your way towards it. And I was a little underwhelmed by Jour de Fête when I first watched it. But I found myself thinking back to some of the gags, some of the visual jokes, and at first just smirking to myself. And then I'd think more about it. It would come to my mind more and more. And I'd just start like giggling out loud to myself, thinking about the humor and how the humor would kind of unfold organically within you after watching it. And it's so mysterious in the idea that comedy, I think comedy is probably the most accessible genre, or at least it should be. At least that's what its intents normally are. But we're talking about Jacques Tati here, no ordinary filmmaker. But everyone wants you to understand the joke, or at least the purposes of the film. But there's something about a Jacques Tati film where like you don't necessarily understand time. Like time is kind of arbitrary. Distance is incredibly important to a gag, but overall irrelevant to the geography of the plot. It's kind of wild. It's such a mysterious film because I think that Jacques Tati was a genius. He's on the level of Chaplin and Keaton. He's a complete genius, and he understood film so well, especially comedy on film. And he could design films to have logic and to have ambition when it suited the joke or suited the atmosphere of the film. And his films all have an obscenely intriguing atmosphere to them. And Jour de Fête is no different. His first time directing a feature length film, and you can see some of his themes here. I mean, probably you can see all of his themes here starting to really take form and grow into what would be eventually be playtime and traffic. And Jour de Fête, whereas Playtime showed us an ultra modernist world full of absurd machinations as like a physical reality, as something that we're living within currently. In 1967, in 1949, when he made Jour de Fête, that was still a grim prediction. Tati may have been pessimistic or at least knowing enough to consider it a predictive inevitability, but it's still not a physical reality yet. So we're seeing the postman played with remarkable physicality and astute emotionality by Jacques Tati himself, Francois the postman. Um, and this town coming to terms with an influx of technology, the modern age truly being introduced into a small provincial French town. A French town being introduced or inducted into the modern age. And it makes for some hilarious jokes. I love this part where Jacques Tati's postman is like sneaking into a film, a documentary about American postmen. And of course Tati's fake documentary is incredible because he has American postmen like jumping out of airplanes, like stunt driving over like through hoops on fire, and they're all like Apollos. They're all beautiful. They all have their own like male beauty pageants where they're just pristine like Mr. Universes, right? And Jacques Tati's Postman. I mean, it's clearly like his stature, his build. He's just like, oh my god, he feels like so. I mean, he feels obsolete, really. His masculinity feels obsolete. His profession feels obsolete. His methods feel completely outdated. He just feels like an outdated thing, like a relic of this, a relic of a bygone age. And so many things within this town will feel that way shortly, even if they're not aware of it yet. Jacques Tati's Postman just had to watch it in the cinema on film, which kind of amplifies that extreme inevitable outdatedness that he has to face, that he has to kind of overcome, and it makes for some great comedy. But that's where the mysterious elements are in this film, that is full of artifacts of the experiential. Because I read an interesting critique of the film where they're talking about like how to Tati and to Jour de Fête, like if we can speak metaphorically with geography, um, the modern age is a straight line, whereas the town of Jour de Fête is all these kind of wavy and curvy roads, which kind of compel you or force you to interact with all sorts of different kinds of people, since you're not going the fastest way from route A, from point A to point B. You're being forced to experience everyday life. You're being forced to experience things, whereas the modern life seems to insulate you, inhibit you, restrict and limit your experiences. And it's very funny because when Jacques Tati's Postman sees the documentary I was talking about, that shows like all like the future of the postal service, he starts cutting corners and trying to take as many straight lines as possible, and it ends up with human comic failure because of like the absurd contrivance of a straight line in a universe that is meant to be curved, in a universe that is meant to be wavy, in a universe where there is absolutely no such thing as from point A to point B, because that's not how humans are. That's not how the structures that humans build are, because the structures that humans build are reflections of humanity, and humanity is this curvy thing that doesn't logically follow, just like Tati's films don't logically follow time frames, don't logically follow geography. Spatial impossibilities abound. Like the modern world is doomed to fail because it is a contrivance, because it is artificial, because it relies on a superficial concept that humans want to get from point A to point B. And it doesn't matter if they want to get there or not. They can't get there because of their human condition. And there's nothing wrong with the human condition, but Tati obviously doesn't frame this as an argument against modernism, as an argument against postmodernism or ultramodernism. He doesn't use it as that, because these townspeople like aren't all worth championing. These townspeople are like some of them are stupid, and some of them are bullies, some of them are mean. They're normal people. They're just normal everyday people. They're not Capra-esque heroes here. I think he's just showing like the absurd impossibility in the face of ultra-modern inevitability, right? Which makes it extremely sophisticated film, and I think it's really well put together. I think the gags are hilarious. I think that it pays off so many times. The dude who's cross-eyed, right? And like it's like hammering these nails in, and then Tati figures out a way for him to hit the nails correctly in the correct position by moving them into his blind spots or whatever. And you see him later like throwing the ball at the cans in the carnival game, and he's always hitting the one to the right because he's cross-eyed as shit, and it's so funny. That is so fucking funny. It's insane how funny that is. I think it's a great film. I think it's a very great film. It just completely mystified me because I found myself thinking about it and thinking about it and wondering why the hell is this comedy film so mysterious? It's not as if the themes I'm talking about are inaccessible. They're just not they're not like spoon fed to you, right? Like they're not like they're completely available for you to interpret. It's just that there's no like really value judgment, honestly. Like even in playtime, there's a great acceptance of the ultra modern world. There's a value placed on human interaction and on humanity, but it doesn't say that the human condition is being stifled truly because of ultramodernism. We just have to figure out new ways to be human. Like Jour fete kind of operates with that same philosophical, optimistic realism of, you know, the new age is coming. The new age is on its way. I'm not going to demonize it, and I'm also not going to uh, like sanctify normal townspeople and rural life. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to show you is that humanity is stubborn, and humanity is charming in its own idiosyncratic way. And humanity doesn't necessarily like evolution doesn't really track from point A to point B. It starts at point A and goes to Z, it goes to T, it goes to W, it goes to G, and then maybe eventually it'll end up at B. But any sort of fast track to that is artificial, because the human condition, if anything, is comic, and if it's anything else, it's stubborn. But mostly the human condition is very funny.